Hello everyone, this is Max Settings again. I just wanted to do a quick update tutorial slash things I've learned about retrieving a science victory as fast as possible, especially on higher levels. I am currently playing, I believe, just the level below Immortal. I can't remember exactly what it's called. Anyway, let's jump right into it. Okay, so we're doing Gilgamesh again. Gilgamesh, I believe, I've played most of the civilizations trying to go for a science victory. Germany is okay. Some of them get other buffs that Gilgamesh does not. However, what I've found is most important right now is mid-game having at least 9 to 10 cities set up. And depending on what level you're playing, especially above Prince, what's going to happen is the AI is going to aggressively expand. So France started right about here, and what's this gentleman's name? I can't say that. He started over here. Now his empire I've noticed is usually, including France, as I kind of lucked out, that his empire is generally not too offensive unless you're playing on deity. Um, and again, starting out with the war carts as Gilgamesh, you get that 30 damage, and it's the most powerful cavalry unit for uh, a long time, not a terribly long time. I should also note that just to make this video quick, because I want to do one where I do it steps, just kind of following me through the gameplay. We're playing on online mode, so there's only 250 turns. As you can see, I'm already building 3 space ports. So we are going to be getting ready to launch our satellites and our rockets soon for the science victory. Um, so some things that I did not realize, especially playing on harder difficulties, is of course you're going to want to use the war carts to capture cities early game because that prevents you from that way. That allows you to build builders and a settler to create some of your own cities at the same time, receiving the bonuses and tile improvements and builders that come with capturing a city. So around turn 5 or 6, maybe 10. I want to say 10 because I had already produced about 3 war carts. 3 war carts was all it took to snag Marseille from France, 4 war carts from Paris, and maybe another 5th war cart from Bordeaux. Now around 10:15 to maybe 10:30, I began mixing my war carts with these with knights. Not I'm sorry, not knights. Simply horsemen. And if you just go straight, even for the first 50, depending on what game speed you're playing. In my case, maybe for the first 50 turns, I I really wasn't producing any districts. I was every time I captured a city, I would build maybe a granary here or there, maybe a monument, but eventually I was streamlining all these cities to constantly either produce horses or war carts. Now, what that allowed me to do was to pressure this guy's empire over here and instantly begin to capture this city here, and I believe I also may have captured this one. No, I don't think I did, but I did take 2 of his cities. And that was very important because already around 30 turns, 30 or 40 turns in, I had 6 to 7 cities, which meant all the time I would have spent building settlers, which you generally, especially in harder difficulties, are going to need to want to be boosting, sorry, wrong screen, in your culture choices. You want to at some point boost the 50% settler production. And what that helps you do is pump out settlers, obviously. But instead of having to do that, I was able to simply um, just build builders, improve my tiles where I could, improve, eventually start building the basis of each city, such as food bonus buildings, things like that. Um, and it really was nice. So again, I believe Gilgamesh might be one of the best players. Let's see where our capital is. It's Uruk. Yeah, I believe Gilgamesh may be one of the best players to start with a science victory, especially if you're playing Immortal or Deity, simply because not Warmonger, sorry, those war carts are going to allow you to, if you can, quickly pressure other civilizations, perhaps take 2 of their cities, maybe conquer them. I completely conquered France. France did not stand a chance. Uh, and and then move on if you can to if you have a second civilization nearby that hasn't advanced too quickly or still has. And again, if you are producing war cards from the very first maybe 5, 10 turns and just start spamming them, you should quickly be able to, even once the walls and the cities level up to 30 defense, you might have to sacrifice a few, but you should be able to pressure them very quickly into taking at least a city or two of theirs. And that means that early in the game, without having to spend resources on settlers, you already have your cities established. So let's go ahead and count my cities that I have right now. On turn 109 out of 250, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I have 11 cities, and that you really ideally, and from the guides I've read, on Immortal and Deity, you are going to need at least 11 cities, at 10 cities to 12, the more the merrier, because you really want those bonuses from all the campuses and whatnot. Um, so just keep that in mind. Again, try Gilgamesh out. He really just can press the advantage when it comes to the fact that doing a science victory on harder difficulties, you simply need to expand as fast as possible, and you can even take over city states. I didn't need to, but if I had needed to, I may have taken over Hattusa down here simply for again another city. And so using the war cards, you can just really get a huge early game advantage, and it's extremely useful, and it really sets you up and allows you to use resources elsewhere. One more thing I want to mention. On when you're not playing Prince, the AI, if you have another AI that's going for a science victory, um, they are going to be boosted ahead of you in science just because they receive boosts the higher level you're playing on, which means you will be lagging behind after you do your research to improve your tiles, your early on tiles, mining, animal husbandry, the ones that begin getting you want to do the ones that get boosted early on. But as you can see, after I got here, I stopped really focusing on any of the ones that were boosted, and I just went ahead and left clicked um, farther ahead and went ahead and fast tracked rocketry. So I left clicked rocketry even when I was still in the medieval era, and I've been researching toward that tech now faster than any other civilization, and satellites also. So you may just have to, after you've established your army with horses, knights, war carts, you're going to want to, on harder difficulties, fast track that science victory by getting your rocketry and your satellite and, of course, nuclear fission techs unlocked as quickly as possible. One more thing to consider before we go is use your spies. At some point, you're going to start to be able to train spies. It can be extremely useful if you need to boost rocketry or satellites and things like that. You can send them to a city that has that tech and attempt. You might not be successful, but you can attempt to steal it from them. So I just wanted to make a follow-up video. I believe I'm going to win this science victory. It doesn't look like, from just looking at the stats, that any other civilization is moving quicker than me. I will say on Immortal and Deity, I think I'm playing one level lower than Immortal, whatever it's called. Um, on Immortal and Deity, the buffs that all the civilizations get are a little ridiculous. It's extremely hard to achieve a science victory simply because they just start out with so many more workers, so many more warriors. You can't, you can try, but on deity you almost have to play as Gilgamesh because you need those war cards to do the early on damage in game and take over civilizations as quickly as possible and city states. Otherwise, you're completely screwed. So yeah, that's just some more tips for today on just kind of a very fast-tracked science victory, especially playing against harder AI. People generally tend to get caught up with the technology tree and they see, oh, I have this boosted in this age, or I have computers boosted, or I have military science boosted, economics. Let's just build all the boosts. Yes, you want to do your boosts early on, definitely. But at a certain point, you're really looking in the early game to boost things that are going to help your tile improvements, like animal husbandry, and then maybe a few boosts to your army. And then by the end of the early game, you should have an army ready that is going to be your army for the rest of the game, because then you can simply upgrade them as the game goes along. You don't want to spend the first 50 turns just trying to build researching campuses and libraries and all that thing. No, you really need to focus on a military civilization for the first early game to early mid game, late early game to early mid game, I should say. Definitely as soon as you start, build those war cards. That will allow you to get a huge upper hand and spend way less resources on settlers. Aside from that, there's certain um, so, one more thing, let's just take a look at our civics tree real quick. No, government. So you're going to want to use your civics tree and the bonuses you receive from that to unlock your government in this order if you can. Um, so let's see if will it let me see. Will it let me see that? No. There we go. Okay. You're going to want to go Classical Republic. So as soon as you have enough culture points to unlock the Classical Republic fast track, do that. We're going to want Merchant Republic next, and then as soon as you can, research communism because that's going to give us gold, and a few science bonuses along the way. We don't we don't need the war cards do not take up military slots, so we do not need autocracy in the first little bit of the game. But if you do these three, it really allows you to start boosting your not only production but also your gold. And it's extremely important to. I've found that the best combination is these three. Now, that being said, many people have if you're at war, if you're on a hard level, you might be at war many times during the game. If you are at war, in a huge war in the early stages and your war cards aren't cutting it, you might have to choose oligarchy when that comes around. And again, that shouldn't be a problem. You really shouldn't have to do that. But if you just are just playing against a state that your war cards aren't cutting it and you need to start chugging out units and still haven't had time to start producing districts and whatnot, go for oligarchy. But as soon as you can, get to merchant republic and communism. Those generally these three right here, the ones that will put you in the bag in terms of a science victory. Um, Also, just make sure you have production, guys. As you can see, I've left a lot of trees and rainforests around here. What that is going to allow me to do is once the spaceports are done, is I can chop. If you know when you have builders, you can chop the forest and rainforest, and it gives you production. So that'll allow me to add a huge boost to production. Also, do not neglect trading sciences with other civilizations, especially if you can friend up other civilizations. They will be generally very happy to help you boost your science victory by completing research agreements. So do not neglect the research agreements in the mid to late game because you can start to boost things like rocketry and things like that if you have a civilization which we're just willing to do that. So that's it for today, guys. I think my next game, after I win this one, I'm going to start off from scratch, let you know what my thought process are as I go through the early game. Maybe watch me take over, just see how I kind of do a little domination style gameplay for a little bit. And yeah, it should be fun. So I will see you mates next time, and have a good one.